You're listening to the Perth Property Show, Australia's only weekly property podcast by West Australian experts for West Australian listeners. Catch your latest episode every Monday at 7 a.m.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Perth Property Show. My name's Trent Fleskins, your host as always. This is episode 125. I'm so proud to say we are in our third season and we're finally talking about property staging. It's a burgeoning industry in Western Australia. There's only maybe 10 companies actually providing this service, but I personally think it's an extremely important part of your development, your investment, just generally your sales strategy. If you're not staging your property, not spending that few $1,000s on that, you're missing out on the multiplier effect of it. You'll probably sell it in this market. It is a seller's market, but what did you miss out on not selling it with that amazing staging that we ourselves generally in our own homes wouldn't even think of to that level? We've got one person that I want to talk to about this today. She's the front runner in Western Australia with regards to staging, burgeoning business that I'm very proud to see doing well. It's Sara James of Perth Style Co. Mate, thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Trent. What an introduction.
Tell me a little bit about how your business started very quickly and why staging is an important part of the sales process.
Going back to finishing high school, I moved to Perth from the country and started a career in property finance. So my roots are within property and within property values and residential credit. Boring,
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, that's what I do, right? Boring.
Boring. My parents had a real estate office growing up in Kalgoorlie, so I've always been around property. I've always been around home opens as a kid on a Saturday and Sunday, and basically turned 30 and thought, what am I doing with my life? I need to find something creative to do. I didn't really want to leave my skill set in property and in finance.
You love the industry.
I love the industry, and I felt like I was really good at it for a 30-year-old to have such an in-depth knowledge of property and of finance and what made a property transaction tick. So moving into a creative, flary industry, I thought was maybe barking up the wrong tree. I'm not going to get paid as well. Yep. I'm not going to have a bank car. How will I do this? And so anyway, long story short, I quit my job and I started Perth Style Company with what I thought was a bucket load of money, and quickly found out, oh Lord, I've started a furniture hire business with no furniture.
I'm guessing that it only takes a few high-end couches and tables to burn your bank account.
Absolutely. It's a very expensive business to start, but I was super confident that I could help people sell their house for more money, because in property finance, negotiating that extra $20,000 to $40,000 with a valuer is actually quite easy to do when you showcase the value of the home and you're comparing it to another comparable property in the area.
It has to be emotional. It's very hard to be emotional when it's staged like an investment property.
Yes.
As in no staging.
As in
which is what a lot of vacant space.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it started off giving people advice. When we look at market value, every property is going to have its credentials. How big's the block? How many rooms does it have? How many living areas? How many bathrooms to form the market value? Showcasing areas that maybe sometimes don't exist to the naked eye. For example, if you've got a double doors in a master bedroom that spill out to a courtyard, then I see value in that as being almost like a secondary usable outdoor space. So if we were to put furniture there and show the buyer that is a usable space, we're creating more value in the property by showcasing spaces that are similar.
I see staging, in my very rudimentary view of it, as essentially removing the requirement for imagination for a buyer.
Oh, people just cannot visualize their life within a home, particularly if people have their stuff, their clutter, their own personal belongings. If the property is a little bit tired, or, something as simple as colour can turn people off. I don't like that colour. That colour's offensive to me. I don't like the theming or the personal style of the person that lives here. They can't see the home for the things. And if it's a vacant home, they can't see the use of the space. And 9 times out of 10, they'll say, oh, it looks bigger vacant. It actually looks smaller vacant.
It does look smaller vacant. Yeah. Or they'll say, I'm not going to fit my couch in here.
Totally.
Maybe you show them a couch that would fit.
Yes. So long story short, as the business evolved, I didn't really have a lot of competition, but I also was new on the scene to real estate agents as well. We saw when realestate.com came along, it really changed the way that houses were marketed for sale. It went from this looks good, the front facade looks good, it's got curb appeal, let's go to the home open, to wow, we've seen the whole house at the click of the button and we're going to exit out of that property because we don't like anything about it.
It's funny how I've noticed over the years, the front photo, the first hero photo, has changed 10 years ago from nearly all of them being the front of the house, the facade of the house, to a lot of them being the hero room inside.
Yeah. And that's so exciting. I found that exciting. People were starting to do videos. People were starting to actually hire professionals to take the photos.
Yeah.
Like it was an evolution. I just wanted to be part of it. And knowing what I knew about property and how we could influence the end price, I just started putting all of my hard-earned funds back into stock. And now we've been in business for 7 years, and we've got some beautiful relationships with some of Perth's best agents, and we get to see the results day in, day out, which is really fulfilling.
Are there any agents that you think most of the time will say, look, regardless of the property, it needs to be staged because they've seen the results?
Yes.
That's pretty exciting.
It's very exciting.
Do you think every property should be staged?
No, I don't. I think that there's pockets, and for the listeners, we are based in Perth. We're a Perth-based business, so we know our areas inside out. If they're in a pocket of Perth that investing $3,000 or $4,000 into staging is not going to return based on the area or the demographic of the home.
The price point, yep.
Yeah, yep.
Is there a very linear relationship between the value of the home and the multiplier of the money that you would spend on the staging? So again, if we're out in the $200,000 pocket and you have to spend $3-4 grand, you may only get $3-4 grand back, possibly.
Yep.
But if you're in the $1 million plus, you spend 15 grand, you might get 100 grand.
For sure. I don't think we've staged a home over $10,000 based on size. So
Okay.
that would be, a mega mansion in Peppermint Grove,
that's
for
great.
example.
And we'll talk about those price points definitely later. Is a staging company essentially a furniture hire company? How is your company, for example, or any company in Perth that you would think is a reputable staging company, how are they different to that? To simply just hiring someone's stuff out of a warehouse for the week?
Well, let's just compare it to the events industry where you can go and hire furniture.
Yeah.
So you can pick up a couple of bar stools and, have your backyard party, or they can style your whole entire wedding extravaganza for you. So, that is a furniture hire business to me. A furniture hire business for staging is knowing what kind of furniture to invest in. For example, we would do probably 10 to 15 houses a week, which means we're moving. There's nothing glamorous about that. We're moving high-end furniture from a warehouse onto a truck into a home.
You're a delivery business.
We are
Man with a van.
No, wait. No, I don't want you to think we're a delivery business. That's the back end of our business that we make seem absolutely seamless and easy, and we don't ever show you how difficult and hard and logistically impossible that is on a daily basis. But what we do is we choose the right furniture that suits the style of the home. We want to elevate the home with the caliber of furniture we're bringing in, so it looks more expensive than maybe it appears when it's vacant, by the velvets and marbles and the finishes and things that we're bringing in. But it's also about working a floor plan so that we're creating not only a cohesive feel throughout the home when people are walking through it, but there's got to be an element of the buyer experience, so that, for example, if on the very top floor you've got a master bedroom that's just major wow factor, we want to build the hype from when people walk in the door, and we just have to keep giving until they hit the jackpot on the top floor. And that's when we know that we've really, really engaged them emotionally. And when they think back down to the journey that they've been on, they say, this is the house for us. So there's a bit of skill involved in terms of creating that with the right pieces, the right brands, the right look and feel, what's super on trend, but also using that illusion of space that I mentioned so that it photographs absolutely immaculately. There's a lot of, symmetry involved. If a room is small, then there's techniques that we use to make it look bigger. If a room's an absolute monster, there's ways in which we can make it feel warm and homely.
Usable.
Yeah, and usable. Yeah, so there's lots of different tricks that if we were just a furniture hire business, people wouldn't be getting those results.
All right, so let's think a bit practically for a second. I think, look, I've decided after listening to this podcast that staging may be the way for me to go, or at least I'll look into it. I'm going to give Sarah a call, or anyone in the industry a call on the staging, but let's hope it's you, and say, look, I want to do some staging. What do you do from there? How does the process go? Is there some sort of consultation period where you come to the home? And
so we probably, if you're thinking about selling and your agent hasn't recommended you see a home stager, you're probably around the same time that you're seeing your agents and selecting, basically capturing a lot of information about how to take your home to market, include staging in that. So we'll do a walkthrough of the property. Ideally, the home must be vacant for us to bring staging furniture in, purely because, well, in particular, our range is a high-end furniture range. So, we don't really like people living there while our furniture is there, so that, horses and dogs and cats and etc., children, dare I say,
Yep.
Accidents do happen. But the service that's provided with the staging is so that every time an agent has somebody to take through the property, it's picture perfect. Nothing's been touched. It's in display mode. And that's a big part of getting the end result, is ensuring that through the duration of the sales campaign, it is picture perfect at all times. But sorry, I digress there. So up front, you'd want to get that information from a stager. And so walking through the home is so important. Yes, when we're in a hurry, sometimes we can work with people on floor plans to give you a bit of an idea on price. But every home has its different selling points. Every home has its negatives that need to be factored in when staging, because when people walk through a home, they will be looking at it objectively, and they will probably have not negatives, but they'll be making assumptions about the space. And sometimes it's my job to walk through with a buyer hat on and understand what I think their objectives might be. So that enables us to give the seller some advice as well, like maybe we should freshen this up a little bit. Unfortunately, I'm extremely passionate person about what I do, and I will tell people to do small cosmetic improvements if they've got a limited budget. There's things that they should be doing before spending money on staging. So we can make something look as amazing as it possibly can. It will photograph well, etc. But if there's major problems with the property that I know people are going to have issues with, it's more detrimental to your end sale price if you're not fixing those things up front than putting a Band-Aid on it.
of course, we've had you in. We've done a bit of a consultation about where are the hero places, where are we needing to fix some things up.
Yep.
Then I guess we talk about the extent to which staging is required, and then how much it costs.
Yes, so we'll always...
Or maybe a theme.
Everyone will provide you with a proposal
Yeah.
with what's included in the staging, and then, yes, provide you with some imagery of what we propose to put into the home. And then it's just a matter of us coordinating with the photographer and the real estate agent for an ideal date. I like to tell my sellers to organise us as the very last thing. When the cleaner's been, the garden's mulched, we will install a fit out in about probably 4 or 5 hours, and then the photographer can come in and take the photos the same day, and it generally stays in there for 1 month.
Let's talk about that value point then. So across the industry, where do you see the price points being as a minimum and maximum spend? But also, how is it priced? Is it based on the type of furniture, the amount of furniture, the amount of time? If it's 4 weeks, but actually it takes 2 months.
Yeah.
Is there a plus, or if it sells in 3 days, you're still charging them for a month? How's all this work?
Yeah, sure. So
A lot of questions.
no, that's okay. And keep me on track with the questions, because
Yeah.
I get excited and go off track. Look, we're a relatively new industry here in Perth, and just like any other industry, you're going to have a low price point and a high price point, and it's up to you as the consumer to make your decision on what you see as fit. And it's up to us as an industry to, become more and more professional in what we do and what we're delivering to clients. It's just something that is very important to me, that if I'm presenting you with something, I want to try and show you as much value in my offer as possible. The cost is fixed for us whether you have it in there for a month or 2 weeks. So people do say, what if it sells in
On
the
the first
first 3
open.
days?
Yeah.
Beautiful. I've done my job so well. You should be so proud that you engaged me to, work on your home.
Yep.
Is my answer to that. We don't want your home to be sit there with no attention for months on end. That to me is a defeat for me. We want to reduce the average days on market, and we want to be getting you a higher sale price, or at least a really good variance between the first offer and what people were willing to pay as the end sale price.
What if I get 6 weeks or 4 weeks down the track and say, look, Sarah, you just haven't got the price we want yet, or we haven't got any offers?
Yep.
How would the industry normally charge after that?
Yeah, so we offer a daily ongoing rate, or you can pay for another week or another month.
Okay.
A lot of the commercial developers and things that we work with that have multi-dwelling, apartment blocks, for example, and are just hiring a fit out for us, might hire them for a long term, 3 months, 6 months up front, because they know that they want to use it for an extended number of time, and we just price that accordingly and give them a discount for the ongoing hire.
What if someone said, look, I reckon we need really expensive couch or table going in this place, and you're looking through your book and going, I don't have one of them, but I agree with you. Would you go out and buy it, knowing that this is probably, and then stage it in there, and knowing that we'll probably use this again? Like, does that happen where it's sort of an ad hoc? I reckon that's a great idea. We're going to get one of those. We're going to stage it for you, and then this will be the price. How does it work? Because obviously stuff on the precipice. I'm sure you'd have clients that are looking at magazines going, have you got any of these?
Yeah, the buying side of the business has been a really exciting evolution of where I started to where it is now, and
well, you constantly have to be upgrading your stuff, right?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
And we do prove to be a premium offering in Perth, and so there's a lot of pressure that comes with that. There's a lot of pressure to be a cool kid.
Because there's a lot of cool
constantly
kids who have got different ideas as to what's cool.
Yeah, well, cool is classic, and classic needs to appeal to the masses. So when we started our design process in China, it was like a whole new world to me. It was like Pandora's box. We had been hiring furniture we outsourced our furniture hire so that we could take on jobs that we may not necessarily have pieces for. And that was really hard going at the time, because we'd get a sofa from here and a table from there. And I just don't know how we did it, but we did it.
Yeah.
And, on the flip side to your question, I would never take on a job that I couldn't complete. I'm not going to half furnish a house because that's all I've got.
Yeah, okay.
So we invested in a bucket load of furniture, and containers started rolling in. And the best part about the design phase is that I know what photographs well because it's tried and tested. And so I'm lucky I didn't invest in those pieces that I was outsourcing, because they might not necessarily look good. It was just, I could get my hands on those at the time, and they were great. But this has helped us form what our style is. So if somebody wants to have a Hampton style fit out, or a really specific around,
a Scandi, a Euro.
Yeah. We can put our spin on that, but this is our style. This is our signature style, and I like to think that it's identifiable in the market now, because we've really had to stick to our guns and back ourselves in to say we know that this will look good.
So that was my question. Why is it your style? Is it because you believe that this is what makes your clients the most money?
It photographs beautifully. So let me give you an example without giving it all away.
Yeah.
Framed glass artwork, okay? Looks beautiful. Most galleries have framed glass artwork. In home staging, if we have a beautiful lounge room, particularly if it's a lot of open plan with glass, which is very, modern Australian these days, looks amazing when we leave the property. The professional photographer will come in, and you won't even be able to see the artwork in the photo.
Or it will have a reflection.
It'll all be a reflection. So the beautiful piece of art, which really frames the room, forget what Shayna Blaze says. We start with art all the time, and the caliber of the art needs to be on point with the price point of the home. They should elevate one another. Art's a really powerful focal point when selling a property. So let's say we've got fancy art, but now we can't see it because it's got all reflection in it from... So we only work with framed canvases, box framed canvases, because they're foolproof. Mm-hmm. So those little hacks along the way have really helped us shape what our style is, because we've learnt from our mistakes very early on. and our style is our style for a reason. Yes, it gets results, but if you're paying me $5,000 to create a marketing campaign for you, and you can't see the artwork, or the sofa is photographing purple when it's grey, all of these little hacks that we've had, the pillows look sloppy, it looks like someone's just sat all over the bed when we've spent 2 hours steaming it perfectly.
Yeah.
You know, there's all these little hacks that we've learned along the way that give our product the end finish that it does today.
All right, so we've had the consultation again. You've provided now the mood board, maybe your presentation, I guess, of all the little aspects that you're expecting, you know, that you'd like to put into the home. The artwork, this is the chair, this is the couch, this is the table. We're going to put this vase here, right? And I go, Sarah, I hate that vase. What happens then?
Of course we don't get offended. However, the vase, we can swap that out. That's no problem, Trent. I'm sorry you don't like that vase.
Yeah.
We've got thousands of vases and
Yeah.
you'll love them. Sometimes we get a little bit of pushback if the clients are still very emotionally involved in the property transaction. So when you're engaging a professional like us, you know, we do, you know, probably like 30 houses a month we're involved in. We probably see about, you know, 50 to 60 clients that are selling their house when we're out on the road doing consultations and quotes and things. And so we are very much removed from the emotion that it takes to take your home to market.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Yeah, it becomes very much a derivative.
Yeah,
Yep.
and we forget that we do it every day.
Yeah.
And so you might not necessarily like my vase in the mood board because you've never had a vase like that in the house. And that makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable. But when I show you the show reel of how that vase is being used in other properties and photographs to the point where it's almost creating a character for the whole kitchen, the way we've placed it, all of a sudden you're at ease knowing that your property's in good, capable hands. And sometimes it is about us presenting the right tools to the client based on the nature of the transaction.
Yeah, and I probably learned something from that answer there too, is that I need to step away from it myself. I'm no longer going to live in it. It's not going to be my vase that I'm putting my flowers in anymore.
Yeah.
I've sold the home already, pretty much. I've
Yep.
made that decision. I've moved out, and I need to now leave it to someone else. All right, so finally, the big money question is to what everyone really wants to know. Have you got any experience or data on really how much money you reckon you can make your clients? A multiplier effect, essentially. If I'm putting $5,000 into a property, what are you hoping to be able to bring out for that client on the back end?
So over the last probably 4 or 5 years, it's been about days on the market. So our clearance rate is always about 96%, and it's been always about keeping it under 28 days for us as a ballpark. And when we work with really reputable agents, really motivated sellers, there's nothing more effective than, you know, a 20 to 28 day on the market sale. That's really exciting. That's kicking goals for us. As the market's shifted here in Perth over the last 6 months, for the first time in our business, we've been able to measure the data around a house going on the market. And I've become a big advocate for a full marketing campaign, not just take the first offer on the first home open. I feel like that's personally, I don't like to comment on the market and how agents should work, but running that full campaign means that we can create these massive amounts of emotions between people that ensure that drives the offers higher and higher, and that excites me immensely.
It gives a selling agent some ammo, doesn't it?
It does,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's become less about selling it quickly because anyone could do that right now, and more about actually then leveraging that to now get finally in Perth's the extra prices.
Exactly.
What do you reckon that might be? That I know that we'd never know, it's a bizarro world sort of thing, but you're getting any feedback from the agents?
Yes, the agents that are running a full campaign with our styling, the difference between the first offer and what the sale price is, I think our biggest one so far has been $560,000. So, and that was a property that sat on the market for 18 months with no interest. Now that's a high-end property. We're talking
And
in
how
the
much
2
did they
millions.
spend with you?
About $4,600.
Yeah, wow. What furniture do you get for $4,500?
Yeah, so they had a fully furnished lower level home.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, and the master bedroom upstairs as well.
Okay.
But it just gave a different look and feel to them living in the property. Their property they were building, and they just went and moved into their new build. How exciting for them! But they were left with an empty shell of a home that wasn't moving.
Especially for the big, expensive homes, they can look really empty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A bit sad.
If we scale it back down to normal people's prices,
Yeah.
and we think about a $700,000, $800,000 house,
Yep.
we thinking an extra 50, 60 grand is possibly where it's at.
Well, we just did one in Vic Park actually, and it was a 3-bedroom villa, rear home, and that was on for I think like 680. The difference that they got between their first offer and their last offer was 90,000. So it was still a high impact. They spent about 4,000 with us as well.
Is that about where it is? 4 to 6 grand?
Yeah, 4
Can
to
most
6.
people fill out their home for that?
Yeah, I mean they can get it much cheaper from other. It's just the caliber of furniture and the finish that they're investing in.
Is it very much a you pay peanuts to get monkeys industry?
Switzerland.
Maybe we'll leave it there. Sara James from Perth Style Co, thanks so much. Hey, we'll get you in again for a couple more episodes, I reckon, because I've had a great time.
Great, thanks, Trent.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Perth Property Show. If you've only just joined the conversation, you can catch up by heading over to our website, perthpropertyshow.com.au, subscribing to the podcast, or joining our Facebook page. Don't forget to tune in next Monday at 7 a.m. for more expert insights, local analysis, and suburb spotlights. Happy hunting!